townsfolk referred to it simply as the Whispering Shadows. It was said that on moonless nights, when the wind howled like a banshee, shadows would come alive, whispering secrets of the past and beckoning the curious to join. The town, known as Eldridge Hollow, had seen better days. Once a thriving community, it had fallen into disrepair. Many houses stood empty, their windows boarded up, and the streets were overgrown with weeds. The few remaining residents spoke in hushed tones, careful not to attract the attention of the shadows that roamed the night. Among the dwindling population was a young woman named Clara. She was new to Eldridge Hollow, having moved there in search of a fresh start after a painful breakup. Clara was an artist, and she hoped that the isolation of the town would inspire her creativity. However, she soon found herself drawn to the eerie tales that surrounded her new home. One evening, as she wandered through the woods with her sketchbook in hand, Clara stumbled upon an old, crumbling mansion hidden beneath a thick canopy of trees. The mansion had long been abandoned, its once grand facade now covered in ivy and decay. Intrigued, Clara felt an inexplicable pull to explore its depths. As she stepped inside, the air grew cold, and a sense of foreboding washed over her. The floorboards creaked under her weight, and shadows danced along the walls as she moved deeper into the house. Clara's heart raced with both fear and excitement. She began to sketch the haunting beauty of the mansion, unaware that she was not alone. As night fell, Clara heard faint whispers echoing through the halls. At first, she dismissed them as figments of her imagination, but the voices grew louder, more insistent. They called her name softly, luring her further into the darkness. Clara followed the sound, her curiosity overpowering her fear. The whispers led her to a grand ballroom, where a once majestic chandelier hung precariously from the ceiling. Dust motes floated in the air like tiny ghosts, and as Clara stepped into the room, she felt an overwhelming sense of sorrow wash over her. The shadows in the corners seemed to shift and swirl, forming shapes that resembled figures dancing in despair. Suddenly, Clara's sketchbook flew open on its own, pages flipping wildly until it landed on a blank sheet. Inky tendrils emerged from the shadows, swirling around her and guiding her hand across the page. To her horror, she realized she was drawing scenes from the past, images of a grand ball filled with elegantly dressed figures, who danced joyfully before being consumed by darkness. Clara's heart raced as she realized these were not mere drawings. They were echoes of souls trapped within the mansion's walls. She felt a deep sadness for them and understood that they were seeking release from their torment. But as she continued to draw, the shadows grew restless. They whispered louder now, their voices rising to a cacophony that echoed in her mind. "Join us, join us." Panic surged through Clara as she dropped her pencil and stumbled backward. The shadows lunged toward her, their forms shifting and writhing like smoke. She turned to flee but found that the exit had vanished. The walls closed in around her as despair clawed at her heart. In a desperate attempt to escape, Clara recalled an old legend she had heard from the townsfolk about a way to free the trapped souls. It required one willing to sacrifice their own essence to break the curse binding them to the mansion. With every ounce of courage left within her, Clara shouted into the darkness, "I will help you. I will set you free." The shadows paused, their whispers turning into a low hum as they encircled her. In that moment of acceptance, Clara felt warmth spread through her body, a light that contrasted sharply with the cold darkness around her. She closed her eyes and concentrated on the figures she had seen. Their pain became her own, as she poured her heart into releasing them. The room erupted with a blinding light as Clara's essence intertwined with theirs. She felt herself being pulled apart, yet whole at once. Memories flooded her mind. Laughter turned to screams. Love turned to loss. As each soul was released from its torment, a piece of Clara's spirit joined them in their freedom. When the light faded, Clara found herself standing alone in the empty ballroom once more. The shadows had vanished. Only silence remained. But she felt different, lighter somehow, as if a great weight had been lifted from her shoulders. With trembling hands, Clara picked up her sketchbook and flipped through its pages. To her astonishment, every drawing had transformed into vibrant scenes of life: children playing in sunlight, couples dancing joyfully, Families gathered around tables filled with laughter and love. The mansion was no longer a prison but a sanctuary of memories reclaimed from darkness. Clara left the mansion that night forever changed. As she walked back through the woods toward Eldridge Hollow, she could feel the warmth of gratitude surrounding her. The townsfolk would speak of her bravery for generations to come. The artist who faced the whispering shadows and emerged victorious. From that day forward, Eldridge Hollow began to thrive again. The abandoned houses were restored, laughter echoed through the streets, and life returned to a place once shrouded in sorrow. Clara became known not only as an artist, but as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest places, light can prevail. Yet sometimes, on moonless nights when the wind howls like a banshee, one can still hear faint whispers in Eldridge Hollow, echoes of love and loss, dancing through time, reminding those who listen that some shadows are meant to be embraced rather than feared. And so, the legend of the Whispering Shadows lived on, not as a tale of terror, but as a testament to resilience and redemption.